This can be both applied to the question of negative mind, staying in a negative mind and negative thoughts and finding it hard to move on and get out of it. And the question is why one is staying in there and constantly having that and having a hard time to put it behind and move forward, move on, and not pay attention to these negative thoughts. And the same question can be said towards or asked when someone is just broken up and finding it hard to move on and constantly welcomes the thought of what if I had done this? What if this didn't happen? Why did this happen? Because of this struggle of reasoning and convincing itself or logically dissecting it, that goes on constantly and finds it difficult for himself to move on. And many, after a year even, they say, I still have a hard time to forget her, the ex-girlfriend, and I can't move on. And the question can be answered in this way. Of course, often we have, and in many other videos we have discussed this. However, we can also now look at it in this way. Why is it that we keep thinking about the ex and feel like it's very difficult to move on? Or why is it that we feel rather challenging to not pay attention to negative thoughts, fearful thoughts, anxieties, and just simply be balanced and not be subjected to these? The answer is in both cases, negative thoughts, anxieties, fearful thoughts, and the fact that you have broken up with the ex and wondering and thinking about the ex and what happened, why me, and all that, so forth, what if this, what if that, is because you've been doing this for a while, and that has become your habit of struggling to overcome that situation, whatever that is, negative thoughts or the moving on from the broken up relationship. This struggle has created an environment for you that you are familiar with, which means the struggle has created a familiar environment for you in which, in that familiar environment, you have found psychological security. You find yourself in an environment of the known where you know things and you have been struggling, and that struggle itself has turned into a mechanical process, which through a mechanical process, you have found psychological security like everybody else does. We get up in the morning, we wash our teeth, clean our face, have a cup of coffee or tea, whatever it is that you like. You go on, take the bus or take your car. You do a carpool, pick up this person or that person, or you go through a certain pathway, or maybe you stop on your way to get a coffee, then you go to your work, you do certain tasks, certain clients, certain objectives you want to achieve, you accomplish certain things that you're supposed to, you come back, you maybe go to a dinner or find your partner, and you have some activities of sports or maybe a movie, or you plan on going on a vacation. This is your mechanical process. A meeting with the colleagues or a staff meeting or whatever it is that you're part of, this is your mechanical process in which you find psychological security. Now, in the case of negative thoughts and in the case of the broken up relationship and thinking about the ex and having a hard time to move on, you have created this struggle on a daily basis, which in it has created a mechanical process for you. And through that mechanical process, you find psychological security, just like if you have your other parts of life, which has created a mechanical process in which you find psychological security in it. And this psychological security, which brings to you that feeling of contentment And this familiarity to this process of a struggle would create an assurance to you that everything is okay. Everything has a norm. Everything has an order. Even though it's an order that you hate, but nevertheless, it's an order. And that order gives you that feeling of there is a certain organized behavior. And that organized behavior, that order, that certain mechanical process gives you that feeling of familiarity to the process, which brings about that psychological security, which makes you motivated to stay and continue that struggle against the negative thoughts, the anxiety, the fears, and trying to logically understand it and combat it and defy it. And the same thing about moving on. It has created that certain environment for you that makes you want to continue this struggle, in which, in that struggle, you find certain order and security. And that is one of the reasons that you guys are stuck, don't want to move on, because you are used to, and now, without knowing, liking that struggle, because it gives you a certain kind of I am in control, I have something to do, and that's what I do. Defying, struggling, combating, and that gives me a certain kind of order, which gives me a certain kind of familiarity, which gives me a certain kind of security. And that's why you're stuck. If you understand that, then you would defy this way of order or security, and you will focus on what it is that you really want to accomplish, and you'll get on with it and move on. In the case of negative thoughts, then you won't pay attention to it because you know it's wrong. It's nonsense. So instead of trying to struggle with it or fix it or defy it, you just don't pay attention to it and move away from it and let it pass you by. You don't pay attention to it. Same thing with the thoughts of what if in the case of the broken relationship. You just simply move on and find new. That's where you get your balance back.